a Canadian radio sanctuary podcast.
The following interview was recorded prior to Christopher Cross's concert September 30th.
Hello, Glenn.
Hi, Chris.
How's it going?
Not too bad. Did you play in Portland last night?
Yeah, it seems like we did. It was a real good show. The kids are good here, and yeah, that was Portland was the first night we played with Fleetwood, which was the tour which brought us to Vancouver like a year and a half ago.
That's right, yeah, I remember that.
So we're looking forward to coming back. It's a beautiful city, as I remember all the elements all together there,
Yeah.
trees and the water and all that.
Yeah, lots of mountains.
And of course, the show, it's our own show now. We're able to do much more what we wanted. We've got a lot of production, and it's kind of a total audio-visual thing that kind of ties all the music together, which, is much nicer than we were Fleetwood because we were just the opening act and couldn't really do much,
Are you by yourself on this tour, or do you have somebody opening for you?
We have somebody opening, and, yeah, I feel terrible. We got out of town late last night. Last night was her first night with us, but she's real good from what I've heard, and I'm going to try to catch her tonight, but I really don't know who it is.
Oh, I see, yeah.
We've had different openers, different sections of the tour,
Oh, you're not using the same, what is it, a local band in each town or something?
No. This is a girl who's managed by the people who are doing promoting the shows, Albatross, and so we're using her on the Northwest dates. But, America was with us on part of the East Coast leg, and we've had different people on different parts of the tour,
When did this tour start?
Let's see, it started early in September, this leg of the West Coast leg, and before that, we did about the same amount of time, about 3 weeks on the East Coast. It's been 2 legs, East and West Coast, kind of a lot of outdoor shows. One of the reasons we don't use a real heavy opening act in terms of a band is because we have so much production on our own, it's kind of hard to make the set change,
Yeah.
And also really give someone the kind of stage they need. Plus, I feel like the show is real complete within itself,
Yeah. Well, you must be tired of talking about it by now, but your debut album, 4 hit singles, virtually unheard of for an album by any artist, but it's especially remarkable for a newcomer. Were you overwhelmed by all that success happening?
Yeah, I think I'm older, so now, it was like 29 when it happened, so I was able to put it in perspective a little better, but it was still pretty overwhelming, and I never expected it, so kind of took me by surprise. But I don't know, I kind of always just kind of take it as it comes,
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for so long that, I think all the real self-assured, cockiness that you're just the greatest and all that kind of passes,
Mm-hmm.
And you just begin to believe that the best you can do is just write and the best songs you can, make the best records you can, just hope,
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a very volatile business. A lot of people are making good music that aren't making it.
Yeah. You haven't had any personnel changes in your band since that album, have you?
No, the quartet is the same, myself on guitar, keyboards, bass, and drums, and then we have another keyboardist who does saxophone and flute work, and we have a percussionist, which we added, I guess, a year ago. So it should be the same people we were flute with.
Your second album, is it in the can, or is it coming out?
No, it's not even begun. We been touring a lot. We toured Japan and Europe this year and stuff, and of course I did the Arthur project, and so it's been tough to get back in the studio, but I've got lots of songs, and so everything's ready. We're going to go in November and start, and hopefully have like a February, March release, realistically, because I just want to wait. I've got a lot of tunes now that I really want to go through, and I've got more material than I need, but I want to really make sure it's a quality record. I think that's something I strive for on the first record, and I want to strive for the same thing. I think there's a lot of albums that I buy because of a hit single here on the radio, and then I take it home, and there's actually a lot of cereal. And I don't want my records to be like that. I think people deserve, an album's worth of music when they buy the record, and I want to try for that at least.
Do you buy a lot of records by other artists?
Oh, sure, I buy lots of records.
Yeah?
Almost all of them are real good, but occasionally you find that, and I said that's something I've always strived for. Even if you have your favorite songs on the record, I've tried to make a record that you could put on and let it play from the beginning to the end without skipping over or having to make a cassette or something,
Yeah, I'm sure you're aware of the so-called second album syndrome. Does it worry you that you may not be able to top the first album, or do you worry about that? Or
I don't really worry about it. I think that I'm a pretty prolific writer, and I've got a lot of songs, and the input from the people playing the songs live and stuff in the show go over well, and plus there's actually more new songs every day that I'm not I haven't worked up yet for the show. I just feel like there's lots of good material, and it'll be a good record. Also, got a lot of fans out there who've endeared my music, and I think they're going to buy the new record wanting to like it. They're not going to go down there with their hatchets out. I think they want to like it, and they're going to take those new songs and listen to them on their own merit as opposed to comparing everything with something else. I don't expect to win, 10 Grammys next year, or I'm settling in a groove now, and it's a groove on a good level, and I'm real pleased with that. But I'm not really worried about it.
Songs that are eventually will turn up on the second album, you're playing those now on this tour?
Well, we play some of them. I would say that of the new songs we play, obviously as a new artist, I only have 8 or 9 songs I can play live, so the show's an hour and a half long, so there's a lot of new material, and there's a certain degree of it will be on the record, but as I said, I'm always writing, so we may be playing a song that's a month old live, but there may be something that's only 2 days old that we haven't worked up yet,
I see.
Christopher Cross, our guest today, along with interviewer Glen Livingstone.
I read somewhere that you said when you sit down to write songs, you write hooks. I assume by this that you mean you write songs to be commercial hits on AM radio.
Well, I don't try to write them like that. That's just the method I use, and that's the method I've been taught by the Beatles,
Yeah, that's a good example, the Beatles. I was gonna say there's nothing wrong with writing that way, but is there a danger maybe of eventually starting to reject songs that may be good songs but not commercial songs?
Well, I think that's a syndrome that might have been true on the first album. I think the next album we're going to be able to have a little more artistic license, and probably you're going to see a couple songs on the album which don't favor that style quite as much. Although that's just generally innate in my writing, and I'm real pleased about that. It's, like I said, it's the school, the Buddy Holly, Everly Brothers, Beatles, that Beach Boys, that sort of thing that I learned from that influences me, and so I'm naturally going to write in that format,
Yeah.
But you're right. We're going to do some things on the next album in terms of production and approach that differ a little bit on a couple cuts that we would have probably tried on the first record, because we feel like we've got the ability now where radio and the people might listen that little extra time it's going to take to really catch what's happening.
Yeah, instead of as opposed to something jumping out at you right away. And
right. A lot of times people say, "Well, it's a great song." If you hear it a couple times, it's really a great song. And I think there are going to be a few of those on this album, which last time there wasn't. All of them were just right away. Here's a nice piece of music, just swallow it,
Will you be using Michael McDonald or any of those people again that were on the first album this time?
Well, most of my people sitting in with me was vocally, because I didn't want to do all the vocals myself, which I did on Sailing and stuff, which is fine, but it's a nice breakup to have someone else sing. So, yes, there'll be people helping me out on the record as far as who. It's going to be a song-by-song basis. When I actually record the song and decide who's best for that, I'll use it. But, so I wouldn't want to predict. I still have a great rapport with Michael, and we see each other, and he's definitely the best, but I'd certainly hope he would be, and it would all work out.
Let's talk about your biggest hit, Ride Like the Wind. What was the inspiration for that song? Was there something that happened that?
It's like I say in the show. You watch a lot of cowboy movies when you're younger, and it's always Roy Rogers or Lone Ranger. I did when I was younger. Always kind of arresting or catching up with the bad guys, put him in jail, and that's the way it always ends. I think there's a certain romantic tendency with everybody to hope that the bad guy gets away, or that little bit of thrill that's associated with that, and I think that's kind of what the song's about. It's kind of a romantic western, sort of empathizing with the criminal,
Yeah, it's sort of like it reminds me of an I Fought the Law in reverse or something.
Right, it's like, sort of desperado thing, and like I said, sometimes you've got these love stories where the girl falls in love with the bad guy or something, and I guess that's sort of what it is on a bigger scale.
What's the significance of the pink flamingo logo that was on the album and that you use?
Well, it's a striking image, and I think I was looking for a logo that I could carry through. It was a picture that a friend of mine painted, who used to play drums for us. Back in the old days, he painted it as something he felt symbolic of what our album cover would look like. And so we carried that through all those years, just figuring, if we ever had an album, this is like our symbol, And so when we got ready to do the album, we showed it to the record company, and we had it kind of redrawn. And they really liked it,
Do you use that on stage now, too?
Yeah, we have. It's a really good audio-visual show, and we have a lot of production, is the best way to put it, stuff, and visual, and the flamingo side in with that, sure. That's something that you're going to see throughout. The next cover, I've already got the next cover for the new record, and it's flamingo again. And just new images and different images of that, and it's a striking image that attracted people to the album in the store, as opposed to just pictures of people on the front of the cover that nobody knows,
Yeah.
Whereas draw people's attention. They pick up the album and look on the back and that kind of thing. Kind of a marketing tool.
You and your band made a living for a few years playing cover versions of other artists' material.
10 years, yeah.
10 years, yeah. Usually that's sort of a dead end. How did you manage to break out of that rut to eventually...
Well, because the whole time I was doing that, I was getting in the studio at night whenever I could, putting down my songs with the band, sending those tapes to the record companies. That eventually panned out. It took me a while. It took me like 3 sets of tapes being sent out, but finally they heard what they wanted to hear and I got my deal. And, it's something any band can do. Lots of bands are doing it. Got into a situation where I saved up my money and got involved with the studio enough where I could use it at night and put the tunes down, and through just, reading or asking around where to send them, sent to the record companies, and it got listened to and people liked it. It's a hard road, but, it can be done,
On The New Age today, guest interviewer Glen Livingstone has been speaking with Christopher Cross.